Hey guys, doing a little bit different of a video here. We're going to be showing you how to install Ubuntu in a VirtualBox. This is going to be in VirtualBox 5.1.16. You can download the latest version from their website. Use whatever version that you need to, but this is just the most current one at the recording of this video. So I do occasionally have to use Ubuntu to do some work every now and then, but can't justify a dual boot, so we're going to go ahead and click on New. We're going to name our virtual machine. We're going to name it Ubuntu in this one. We're going to set the amount of RAM we're going to dedicate to the virtual machine, in my case 3 gigabytes. And now we got to create a virtual hard disk, so we're going to click Create. I use the VDI format. You can use one of the other ones, but I use VDI, dynamically allocated. And then now we're going to set the actual size of that disk. And in my case, right around 15 gigs, or 14 and a quarter, I should say. So now we're going to go ahead and right click on Settings, System, and we're going to disable floppy and set the number of CPUs dedicated to it. We're going to give it 2. And then we need to go into storage and then select our boot media. And in my case, we're going to be using the Ubuntu 16.04.2 ISO downloadable from their website. Hit OK, and then we're going to click on Start. Now while this boots, go ahead and explain a little bit. Like I was saying, I use Ubuntu on occasion, but not often enough to justify a dual boot. So we're going to just do it in a virtual machine, and we're going to be using Oracle's VM VirtualBox just because it's free and it works for Ubuntu very well. Now we're going to wait for the system to boot up for the first time off of the media. If you look down in the lower right hand corner, you could actually see the activity monitors of what it's actually reading. Like right here, it's reading from the ISO and then also USB as it assigns devices and what have you. Alright, so once we get into the operating system, it's going to ask us to either try it or install it. You can try it before you install it, but being a virtual machine, we're just going to go ahead and install Ubuntu. Obviously select your language. We're going to click to download and install updates and third-party software while the install is taking place. This will just simplify the setup process later, because it'll automatically download the necessary drivers, codecs, and what have you, along with the updates. So we're going to want to erase the entire disk and install Ubuntu because, like I said, virtual drive, it's, virtual disk. If you get this warning, just go ahead and click OK. Now, if you're installing on actual hardware, you are going to want to check all your errors that you get and what have you. So we're going to select where we're from just for our time zone. I'm on the West Coast, so Los Angeles. Select your keyboard layout and language, and then you can go ahead and test down in this box here. If you're happy with the layout, go ahead and click Continue. And then now we're going to set up our user account. So username, and then you could actually name the computer how it shows up on the network, and then your actual username, password. I log in automatically just because it's a virtual box, which is on my already password and protected encrypted machine. So the install process is going to run through. Obviously it's sped up here. It usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And then once it finishes, we'll be greeted with this telling us to restart our computer. So we'll just go ahead and click on Restart. Now it's going to prompt us to remove the install media and then press Enter. So if you go up here to Devices, you will actually see the optical drive, and then you can see it's already been removed. If it hasn't been, you're just going to click Remove there, and then you'll click Enter. And what that'll do is that'll send the actual power down to the machine, and then it'll power back on. And then if everything went correctly and you set all your settings properly, we should be greeted with the Ubuntu desktop. This does take a a minute or two the first time because it has to, build the environment and build the desktop and what have you. But usually it only takes a minute or two. Now, things to remember about VirtualBox, because Ubuntu's most Linux distributions are pretty open-ended as far as the physical hardware that they can run on, even within emulation, the way we're doing it here, or virtualization, I should say. So you shouldn't have any issues with it. But if you're trying to run something like OS X on a AMD-based processor, you're going to run into some issues that you would just like installing on normal hardware. So here we're greeted with the desktop. Shows us some, pretty handy shortcuts. You can go ahead and close that out if you want to. It'll only pop up the first time you actually boot the operating system. Now it is going to be running a little slower the first time just because it is in the background, building the file structure and all that. But as you can see, we have a fully operational version of Ubuntu. If we go to About This Computer, it'll actually show all our hardware, what we have going on here. As you can see, 3 gigs are assigned to it, and it is recognizing that I'm running this on an 8350. 2 of them, actually, because of the way I allocated the 2 CPUs. And that's just to help, because it sees 2 separate 8-core CPUs, but what it actually did is dedicated 2 threads on my CPU to the virtual machine. And when you actually go through the setup process for VirtualBox, it'll ask you to install some network drivers. You just go ahead and do that, and as you can see, our internet passes straight through to the virtual machine. Now, this is a good way to test out an operating system before you install it on actual hardware. Now, do note that some operating systems do have some bugs in them. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.